City of the swing, pop it, drunk and bang. City of the swing, pop it, drunk and bang.
Welcome to the Daily Dosage. I'm Pat Beach.
I'm John Lord.
And it's week 5 of the NFL season. We're about to give you our picks for this week's games. So John, how'd you do last week?
11-3, pretty solid, but Denver did surprise me. They came out with the win over Dallas, so I was a little bit shocked there.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped about my big New England pick last week. So anyways, John, let's get into this week's game. Brett Favre had a big game for Minnesota last week. So what are you going to expect from him and his team, the Vikings, against St. Louis this week?
Well, I don't think Favre will have to do as much this week against the Rams because the Rams are just miserable. We should see a healthy dose of Adrian Peterson. They're going to try and get him back on track. But I really don't expect much of a game from the Rams. It's going to be a pretty easy victory for Minnesota.
Yeah, I would pick Minnesota also in this game, probably at least by 2 touchdowns. So what about Tampa Bay and Philadelphia?
Philly's coming off a bye week. Donovan McNabb should play. Westbrook should be in the game too, so they're going to be a little bit more healthy, but they do have the depth now. McCoy looked good 2 weeks ago, and so I like Philly at home. Tampa is one of those miserable teams in the NFL, and I don't think they're going to travel well into Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. The Eagles are a tough team. Tampa Bay is a terrible team. So now we're going with the surprise featured game of the week. The Cincinnati Bengals, definitely a shocking team this season, playing the Baltimore Ravens. Who are you picking?
The Bengals will look to make a clean sweep against the AFC Central this season as they enter Baltimore, who's out to avenge their Week 4 loss. If the Bengals cannot get their rushing attack going early, they will not be able to keep up with the now potent Ravens offense.
It's pretty tough for me to pick against Chad Ochocinco, but I think I'm going to go with Baltimore here. So what about Washington and Carolina?
Redskins are hurting. They don't have Hainsworth right now, so I like the Panthers at home. Now, they have struggled this year. It's no secret there, but I do think that they'll pull it out. They got to get it together, and Delhomme is almost playing for his job right now.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Panthers also. Even though I think Delhomme is horrible, he just can't make too many mistakes, and they'll get this win. What about Pittsburgh and Detroit?
Pittsburgh, they're looking okay now that they got their feet back under them. Detroit is better than last year. We agree on that one, but they're still not going to be enough to stop the Steelers. I'm not sure if Stafford's ever seen a defense like the one he's going to face.
Yeah, I'm expecting probably a lot of Stafford turnovers this week. A Pittsburgh win, especially because Stafford is hurt as well. What about Atlanta and San Francisco?
Coming off a bye week, the Falcons will look to stay above 500, but the underdog Niners aren't laying down for anybody. San Francisco will start to feel the loss of Frank Gore, and they won't be able to keep up with Matt Ryan's guns in a shootout.
I think I'm going to go with the Falcons also. What about the Cowboys, who've been struggling a bit against Kansas City, who's been struggling for a couple seasons?
Yeah, Dallas, they really need to get something here, and they're on the road, so they don't have that big home crowd, but I think they'll be able to do it. Kansas City just isn't there. They're really like a year away, maybe even 2 years away. So, Romo, he has a lot of pressure on him, but if these guys want to show that they are, a top-tier football team, they better start winning football games. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I mean, the clock's kind of ticking on Tony Romo. He needs to start stepping it up a bit. What about Houston and Arizona?
The Texans are one of the biggest boom-bust teams in the NFL, sitting at 2-2, and the Cards are quickly falling apart. If Kurt Warner wants to be the starter for the remainder of the season, he needs to start winning games and will get the job done in a shootout against Houston.
I don't know how much faith I have in the Cardinals. I think I'm going to take the Texans in this one. What about Cleveland and Buffalo? Kind of a game of bad teams.
Yeah, and so Buffalo, they're a little bit better than their record shows, but they're not great. Although Marshawn Lynch will be back in form now that he's played a game, and I really think that the Browns, they got rid of Braylon Edwards. They won't have Stuckey there in the system yet. So I think that we'll see Buffalo get a win, maybe some big plays out of T.O. finally, a good rushing game too.
With Marshawn Lynch back, I'm picking the Bills. What about New England and Denver, 2 teams that had big wins last week?
Master meets apprentice when Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels have a human game of chess. The Broncos proved their winning ways are legitimate, but they still haven't landed in the NFL's elite. Tom Brady will be happy to put the first blemish on the Broncos' record.
I think I'm also going to go with the Patriots. What about Seattle and Jacksonville? What do you think?
The only thing in Seattle's favor of this one is that Jacksonville has to go from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way up to Seattle, Washington. That's quite a trip, and we've seen teams struggle with those cross-country flights, so I'm still going to pick Jacksonville. I just think they're a better football team. The Seahawks don't really know what they're doing yet, and Jacksonville, they got the mojo rolling, so if they can show they can get a big win on the road, it'll really mean something.
I'm going to pick the hometown Seahawks in this game. I feel like they need to get a win. They're pretty desperate for one. Jim Moore needs to pull a little magic out of his hat and get this team going in the right direction. What about Indianapolis and Tennessee? Tennessee's looked kind of bad this season.
After another demoralizing loss, the Titans have to face what some are calling is the best team in the NFL. In divisional battles, anything can happen, however, and the Colts will need to remain focused, especially on Chris Johnson. Overall, the Colts are by far the better team.
It's really not tough to pick the Colts in that one. What about Oakland and the New York Giants? Who are you picking there?
The New York Giants are hosting the Oakland Raiders. That means they have to go from sunny California all the way to New York City, and they're going to have to deal with a lot out there without Darren McFadden. I don't see a way that Oakland can even be in this game. It's going to be a landslide, New York Giants.
Yeah, I'm picking the Giants also. Kind of an easy pick there. What about the Jets and Miami? Miami didn't look so bad last week.
Miami's first-year starter, Chad Henne, has never seen a defense like the one Rex Ryan is about to unleash on Monday Night Football. If the Jets can get their running game going, it should be a controlled victory. The only uncertainty is if Braylon Edwards will play or not.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez looked pretty rough last week, but I think I'm going to pick the Jets in this one. Do you have any closing comments?
A lot of guys are banged up right now. They're coming back from injuries. They were just injured. It's going to have a big impact on the team, so pay close attention to your team if they got some guys hurt. See how those backups react, and if a guy's coming back like McNabb, see how they perform so you can get a little preview on what's going to happen the rest of the year.
City of the swing, pop it, drunk and bang. City of the swing, pop it, drunk and bang. City, swing, pop it, drunk and bang.